You know,
Phil, where'd that come from?
Where'd it come from? What do we talk about, John? We talk about spirit. We talk about, you know, we're loaded here with spiritual stuff, gods of every kind. I mean, where does it come from? Where do me and you come from where people don't understand? Whether you love us or hate us or like our episodes or don't like them, we literally have no clue what we're talking about until we press on. We sit here, the director, they give us ideas, the producer gives us ideas. Do you know the other day, the lighting guy said, "Hey, Phil, come here." What? What's going on? You okay? Yeah, yeah. Why don't you guys talk about that? Like everybody's got a suggestion. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Right.
you listen to the suggestions. You know,
Right.
some are good, some are bad. They're interesting.
Mm.
But you know, so when the camera comes on,
Yeah.
I mean, it's you and me, and that 50-year bond.
Yeah.
You know, and
Right.
it's just out there.
And you know, the one thing that I would like to call to the attention of the viewers, we're not going to dazzle you with facts or fact checker bullshit and, you know, and outside video clips. This is a homegrown grassroots production. But what you're going to find on every episode is a common denominator that Phil and I always seem to kind of intercept on. That's what a common denominator is. And there's always a passion that's going on, that's coming out of us about something,
That's
whether
right.
it's Phil, me, both of us. So the things that rise up in our hearts and minds to talk about, usually it's a passion play, and very often, almost all the time, I'll pray to Saint Anthony of Padua. Even when I was screenwriting, script writing, you know, we were kind of, you know, tangled up in a moment at some juncture in the script where we just couldn't find the right in or out. Pray to St. Anthony, and St. Anthony will bestow upon you exactly what you're looking for. And it's worked every single time for me. Previous episodes, I've talked about it, like getting an IV in a chubby, dehydrated baby in the OR on the table with my eyes closed. It happens. So,
Wow. So
I think it was a good topic.
yeah, that is a good topic.
Kick it off.
Yeah.
Want to do
So
a countdown?
let's do a countdown. We got so deep into that.
Yeah.
I forgot about it. All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, friends. Welcome to the next edition of The Jersey Alchemist, and I'm your host, Dr. John Gerard Gallucci.
And I'm Philip D'Angelo.
The topic of the day, Phil, that came up organically is?
A stinger, ungratefulness. Ungratefulness.
Yeah.
People out there, think of people in your life, whether it be a boss, a husband, a wife, a child, a friend, a cousin, anybody who you've bent over backwards for, done things for them, and then all of a sudden they throw something in your face like, oh, you can't help them one time. Oh, well, whoa, what do you mean you can't, you know, what do you mean? I'm like, are you serious? I just did 19 things that helped you or your kid or somebody, and now because I actually have a life of my own, I mean, I can't go forward. I am flat out done with ungrateful people. John, please take over.
Take over. My God.
My blood's boiling. My blood's boiling.
I don't know, Phil. That's passion.
Yeah.
Weren't we just talking about the passion that wells up
Yeah.
organically on the Jersey Alchemist?
Yes, we were.
What? Come on, man.
I mean,
Keep going.
Well, it's just like ungrateful. I mean, and we brought this topic up because I have a friend who needs help at certain times, you know, isn't capable of doing certain things. So, you know what? I'll always be there for my friends, my family, always be that guy, you know, not worried about sleep, not worried about finances. I can honestly say for a guy who doesn't have a lot financially, I've given, I hate to say this sounds so what's the word, John? I mean, but you know what? You extend yourself physically, emotionally, financially, as much as you possibly can. Put yourself in a tough situation to help somebody, and then it's just, 2 weeks later, a day later, a couple hours later,
Yeah.
Oh, what do you mean you can't? You're doing this. You're not doing that. Like I thought I needed you. Like come on.
Yeah.
When is enough, John? When do people just say, you know what, this guy, this or girl, has given me everything, and it's just never seems satisfied.
Wow. I got to tell you, most of the uh, most of the accounts of people being ungrateful regarding me in my life,
Yeah.
they've been close first degree family members.
Wow.
So that dum
Mm.
de dum dum, that kind of puts the zip ties on my wrists a little bit
All right.
because no, we can talk about it and we can change the faces and the names.
Yeah, to protect
Yeah,
the not
protect
so innocent.
not so innocent.
Yeah.
Right. I think one of the ways that I try to get around um, the the hurt, the dismay
It does hurt.
of being I, you know what? I know where I can go with this. I know where the safe out is. I know where the safe haven is.
Okay.
Past relationships that
Mm.
don't exist anymore.
True.
You know, am I still cordial with them and whatnot? Yeah, social media, this and that. I mean, that's what social media apparently is all about. But I I have to admit, I've found that for me, the people in my life that really exhibited that true essence of being ungrateful, I was always the maybe the unwitting setup man. I always set myself up to be screwed by the other person. If I were somebody who were very stingy with stingy with me,
Mm.
right?
Well
Stingy
said.
with my emotions, stingy with my feelings, my support, my money, um, anything. If I was never that stingy guy. So the stingy people have a way of kind of holding off the people that might be ungrateful. Maybe it's such a repugnant thought to the stingy ones out there that they never want to feel that.
Mm.
But because I was truly an overly generous person, you end up setting yourself up. You know, uh, an ex-girlfriend drove her here, drove her there, bought her this, bought her that. Uh, it got to a point where she was playing me like a fiddle, playing me like a fiddle. Geez, I bet if I just mentioned to John, a little bit off the cuff, under my voice, my back tire is bald, I think I got to keep, all of a sudden, John's got the car down at the tire center and they're changing the tire or they're changing all four tires getting changed. I don't know what to say. The only thing I can say is, geez, John, my back tire, it keeps losing air. So they play it over and over and over and over again. And then what do they give back? They give back ungratefulness.
Mm.
But I set myself up for it.
Yes. You know what, John? I always say, a thief thinks everybody's stealing. Somebody who tells tales is a bullshitter. Think everybody's bullshitting. So, but us or people like us, we think people are sincere because we're
Yeah.
sincere. So if somebody says, I could use this or I need help here, no problem, no problem. We'll do it, and hopefully somewhere down the line, that light will go off. Like mine just went off today, and I'll be like, wait a minute. I mean, hold on. Like this has got to stop. But it's our own fault
Yeah.
because we gave so much, we give so much, like other people I know do out there,
Yeah.
that now it's entitlement.
Yeah.
Now you're expected. You have to jump.
Yeah.
How high are you going to jump? Because I said I wanted you to jump, and I need you to jump in 5 minutes. And
Yeah.
I know you jumped yesterday. You jumped today, and guess what? You're going to have to jump tomorrow because that's what you've been doing.
Right. Right.
You know? So, I mean, what are you supposed to do? Not
Right.
be yourself, John? I
No.
mean, you're so generous with everything about you, your time, yourself. You've helped so many people. I mean, but that's who you are.
Yeah.
That's who we are. We can't. And takers,
Yeah.
that's who they are.
That's who they are.
Listen, let's just cut it down the line. It's 50-50. There's no in between. You're either a giver or you're a taker in this life. And you people out there, you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
All you givers out there, you know how much you give to your relationships, your kids, your bosses, your friends. And after a while, you're just like, I'm tired.
Well, it's funny, and every once in a while, if you have a tale of woe, let's say it's really eating the shit out of you. It's eating the shit out of you that there are ungrateful people in your life or people that aren't giving back to you what you thought should be equal to what you're giving to them, right? Now that's really a construct of your own making, right? So again, you set yourself up. But I worked with a woman who was originally from Brooklyn, and she was kind of edgy, a lot like I am. And she asked me one day, yeah, so how's that so and so or blah 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 that you were telling me about? And I immediately responded with the tale of woe. And she sat there and she looked at me and she says, "What?" She goes, "You're such a smart fucking guy."
Mm.
She says, "That leads me to one conclusion." She goes, "You're just a fucking sucker." And she said it in her heavy New York, "You're just a fucking sucker."
No R. Yeah.
No R. I'm a sucker. A fucking sucker. And I thought, I was like immediately offended, but I didn't act that way because, you know, only certain people that I really don't associate with act offended. I can't stand those people. Suck it up. I thought about it. I thought about it. And those words were said to me 3 or 4 years ago, at least. Still in my head. It's still in my head that I'm the sucker. And you're a sucker because you set yourself up to be a sucker. That's how I see, yeah, and I'm not broad brushing all of the instances of ingrates in our lives.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ingrates, but think about it, right? There's an expression that I really do live by, and I can't remember where the hell I heard it, but it goes like this. The root of all angst, A-N-G-S-T, angst means, just like dysphoria, like you've been stabbed, The root of all angst is unmet expectation. Think about that. The root of all angst is unmet expectation. So if you have an expectation, you've just set the bar for the pole vault or the high jump. You set the bar. You did. Not anybody else out there. You set the bar, that threshold, for you to choose to have angst.
John, I agree 100%. And I also agree, but I want to disagree a little bit with the sucker term, because usually it's people like if you're a sucker, some guy comes down the street, hey pal, you got a $5 bill.
Can you spare
Oh
a dime?
sure, yeah, hey, here you go, bud, thank
Right.
you. And the next day, like, all right, that happened to me a couple times. I mean,
The guy in the Quick Check or
the
the Wawa or
the
whatever.
guy in the Garden State Parkway gas station until I recognized him. All right. Hey. But you know what?
It's funny.
We're usually people, not just us, but people that are givers are usually taken advantage of by people we know. It could be your kids. It could be your, like you said, your relationships. It could be, the people, coworkers, distant relatives. It always somebody we know. So we get that false sense of sincerity that, okay, if I give, I'll get it back, or
But-
it'll
Right.
reciprocate
Right.
at some point.
Right.
So that's where it really comes in.
And how's that expression go? Fool me once, shame on you.
Yes.
Fool me twice, shame on me.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
So, but
right.
that really speaks to, we set up the parameters and the thresholds for our angst. We do. Other people can't do it, right? I mean,
Yes.
like if you were walking down the street in any given city, and you went up to a stranger and said, "Hey, bud, you know what? I'm feeling kind of hungry. I want to go in for a steak. Can you lend me $75?" And they said, "Hey, go fuck yourself," right? Are you going to be torpedoed by that? Are you going to be upset? Are you going to be upset? I mean, you can't be. But if you are, that's a little bit crazy because you set the parameters that that your expectations were that this complete stranger was going to lay $75 on you, and they're not going to.
Yeah. John, you're 100% right. We are building the house that takers. We are allowing them. We're giving them the keys to the front door. It's all like you said. It's all under our control.
Right.
We can stop it. We can just say no, but we can't because we want to help people. You want to go, go the extra mile.
Yep.
You do things during your day that normal people don't do because there are a lot of people in that cocoon. They're in their little box and they help you. No, I'm busy. How about next week? No, I'm busy again. I mean, it doesn't stop. It's always no, no, no. Maybe they're just smarter than givers. So they're not givers, they're takers. They're just like, you know what, I'm going to stay neutral. I'm not going to help anybody, and I don't want anybody helping me. Maybe that's what's going on here. I don't know, but I'll tell you what.
But how do we apply that life rule, that dictum? The root of all angst is unmet expectation. Let's talk about. Do you have any examples of that? I mean, there's tons of examples, tons. When it comes to business, you enter into a business agreement with somebody, that, case in point,
Easy now.
this was the double whammy, right? I had to trade in at the end of my lease my favorite car that I've ever driven in my life, and I'm going to tell you what it was. I'm not a Beamer guy. I've done that, been there, done that. I was told, well, I don't want to. All right, I won't go into the negative shit about the Beamers, but if you buy one, and it goes over the threshold for the
mileage.
The
lease.
No.
The
contract for mileage, and then if it breaks, what's it called? No, everybody knows the word. I just can't think of it.
You got to pay per mile, right? You got to pay per mile. It's the lease.
The warranty.
Oh.
If you drive that car past its warranty, Beamers, by and large, they're known to basically clunk out on you about 5,000 miles after the warranty is up, and now you're stuck with a big fat fucking bill. But if you lease the car, there's a good chance you're going to get by that. So, love the Beamer. It is just a tremendous. What's the commercial? It's the.
It's a nice car.
It's something to drive. It's just the best driving car I've ever been in my life.
It's amazing.
It's not so hot if you're the passenger in the back seat. I've had the Mercedes. I've had a Mercedes muscle car, a C63 AMG. Whenever I used to drive through New Brunswick, through the Rutgers area, all of the co-eds would stop and look because it had 4 chrome tailpipes and it would boom, boom, and everybody thought it was something that it really wasn't. It really wasn't, and I ended up turning that car back early. But my favorite car in the entire world, this will tell you who I am, was a Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro, P-R-O. TRD stands for Toyota Racing Division Pro. It's not a TRD off-road. It's not a this, it's not a that, it's not an SR5, it's not a limited with all of the fluffy shit. TRD Pro is just a manly SUV.
It is.
And it was my favorite car in the world. But it was running me a bit much money, and so I had to turn it in. And I told the dealership, listen, you guys know me. They have my cell phone number, I have theirs. Okay, the managers, the service people, the sales people. This would have been my fifth vehicle from that one dealership. Okay, we got a relationship, if that's possible, within the confines of business. And I says, look, I want the same car, order it. I says, I did a national search, I can't find it, they're hard to get, blah, 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 all that bullshit. And the guy says to me, oh, don't worry, there'll be one here in 3 weeks, just for you. Okay, just for me. I give him a $100 deposit. I said, don't give it to anybody else. I said, same car, right? He goes, same car. And I set my expectations. I set my expectations.
There it is.
I set my expectations. Now, he calls me and he says, your car is here. I was so excited. You know, I took an Uber to the dealership. This way I didn't have anybody to drive me. And I couldn't wait. And when I got there, he threw the keys at me with a big smile. My fifth car from that dealership. 4 4Runners and 1 RAV4. Toyota's best car on the road as far as I'm concerned. And I go outside, and there's the car, and it's got highway tires on it with standard alloy wheels. And it doesn't have the TRD Pro roof rack. And it doesn't have the big, incredible, functional skid plate under the front that's painted white with red letters TRD. Doesn't have any of that. And then I see the riveted on decal on the back upper corner panel, and it says TRD off-road. And I looked at the guy and I said, there's nothing off-road about this car. I said, this is an SR5, the base model, with highway tires. There's no skid plate. There's no, rugged, off-the-road, what was the name of that kids show, the Wild Thornberries? Remember them? Wild Thornberries, where they would go out into Africa and they had all of their luggage up on the top. None of them. So they accepted a vehicle that they told me was a TRD Pro, and it was a TRD off-road. I was so flabbergasted, and I was embarrassed to say, hey, you motherfuckers, you knew I'm all over your computer system. You knew what I had. You ordered me the wrong car. I mean, you gotta be kidding me. I set the expectations. The expectations were unmet. Guess what? Johnny Boy had a whole big butt fucking load of angst. I still do. I still do. Now I'm kind of stuck with the car. That's a story of unmet expectations. Now, I could have made a big stink, but you know what? In my excitement to order that car, and because I trusted them, right? Fifth car from that dealership, and they knew what car I was turning in. They screwed me. Now, did they screw me on purpose? Probably not. Probably not. But it was my fault. I didn't have anything in writing that they were going to take the receipt of a 2022 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro. Here comes the TRD off-road with highway tires, with no skid plate, none of the bells and whistles or the accoutrements of that car. Nothing was a TRD Pro, because there's only one Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro, and that wasn't it.
Wow. John, like you said, expectations. We do set ourselves up. We build the house for takers to come in our house and just take from us. And like you said, that's a great example. Expectations run high. I mean, look at the expectations as parents we have from our kids. I mean, sometimes we expect certain things from our kids, and because if you're a parent, you've dedicated your life to your kids. You've given to your kids time and time again. And then sometimes when you ask for a little something in return, just to wet your beak.
Wet your beak.
I knew that would get you. Just to wet your
Right.
beak, a little something back, nothing. You know what I'm
Your
saying?
beak.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
it's
you're
it's
right.
just frustrating as heck. I mean,
Right.
so what are we supposed to do as people, as human beings, as heart pumping, blood going through our veins?
Mhm.
What are we supposed to do? Are we supposed to change? Are we supposed to
Well,
become cold, not helpful?
No, I think you have to rise above the whole issue.
Yes.
And let me say this, and I'm going to tell a quick story because I'm all about telling stories.
That's why we're here.
You know, it's funny. I was accused as a kid of the guy that couldn't tell a story.
Wow.
Now
How things have
Now
changed.
all I do is tell stories against all odds, my life, right?
Mm.
So I had a girlfriend, and this is a long time ago.
No names, please.
No, God no. And no names, no towns. And it's very, very interesting how, once again, the angst that hits us like an incoming missile, we so very often, we set ourselves up for the angst. We really, really do. So, and I think that relationships and getting hurt and getting disappointed, if you're lucky, you experience that because everything happens for a reason.
True.
And when they're, early relationships in your life, they're everything to you. And that's because you don't know jack shit about life yet. That's why those early love relationships are everything, because they're the first relationships you have. Beyond Stewie and Lois, beyond the time when you're a baby and there's mom and your dad and your siblings, you don't know any relationships with anybody. And for me, I think those early love relationship disappointments and the grief and the sorrow and the woe is me and goodbye cruel world, that's practice for the day when you're married and you get torpedoed by your spouse, and as life goes on and you expect some kind of a little bit of love in return from your kids, the only people on the planet that are sharing some of your genetics, they stick it right up your ass. And that's when you think back to those love relationship, stories, and you go, I guess that was just practice. That wasn't even an exhibition game. That was just, spring training. Yes. So I had a girlfriend. I was all in on her. I used to throw myself in psycho-emotionally to whatever girl really paid attention to me. And forget about if the relationship was consummated with intimacy. That was it. The idiot here, thought that, I confused intimacy with love. I did.
That's a great episode, because there's a lot of people like that. They think the act of sex, we only call lovemaking, is love.
Yeah.
And it's not.
Right. So then I come to find that I was being future faked. Now, if anybody knows what that term is, all you have to do is go on YouTube and just type in narcissism or narcissist, and you will find about 25 billion videos from all different kinds of psychologists and people who aren't psychologists, but they've been so ravaged by narcissists in their life that they become, experts, and then they go, I got to tell the rest of the world about the narcissist. And so there's a whole boatload of self-help videos on YouTube about the narcissist and the victims of narcissist and trauma bonding and this and that. So the point was, go ahead.
Every serial killer is a narcissist. That's all I'm going to say. If you've ever dealt with a narcissist, every serial killer is a proven narcissist. I'm sorry, John. Go ahead.
You know what? I wish we had a button with an organ strike. That's scary. That's scary. So this particular person, I was all in on. And when I say, I mean, I would have done anything. I would have jumped on a live grenade for her. Then I found out how do I put this politely? I'll make it really vanilla.
Go ahead.
She was consorting with three of us at the same time.
I love that choice of words,
Yeah,
consorting.
she was consorting with three of us at the same time. And
She's
the
a giver, John.
the other she's a giver. The other two apparently were shits and giggles. It didn't matter, you know, a couple lines of coke, a 6-pack of beer, a motorcycle, and boom, it was a done deal. And that was never me. That was never me. I was in love with my girlfriend. How fucking stupid, how sappy, how lame of me. How lame. You know, so guys, protect your hearts. Girls, protect your hearts. Yeah, don't be so quick to you know, zip. I don't mean this. I meant open up the heart space and hand your heart to an energy vampire, to a narcissist, to a sociopath. Don't do it because the angst that you're going to feel, and it feels like getting hit by a tractor trailer going 90 miles an hour. You think your world is ending. That angst was all enabled by you and the situation that you created. You actually don't realize it, but you're the one that threw it down at them.
Mm.
This is how I feel about you, therefore you must feel this way about me.
Wow.
And when it doesn't happen and doesn't come back in equal share to you, unmet expectation, angst. Get used to it. That's what kids are all about.
John, if you had to alchemize this highly emotional episode, how would you do it?
Yeah, and we will do another episode
Oh.
on not misconstruing,
Yes.
bare naked intimacy for real love.
And I also want to touch on narcissism as well.
Well, that's
OMG.
well, you better study up on that one because
Study, I lived it. Are
well,
you kidding
yeah,
me?
but I mean, there's so
I was in the belly of the beast.
I believe, and
All
and
Let it go.
well, I think all I can say to alchemize this whole issue about unmet expectation, angst, what was the original?
John, that was too long ago. I
No,
don't
the
know.
original term was
Well, givers, unappreciative.
was it being
Ungrateful,
ungratefulness? Or something?
ungrateful,
Right? Yeah.
ungrateful.
Right.
It's tough getting old.
It's all, but it's all tied in together.
Yeah.
All I can say is things like that are it's what makes the stew of life worth eating. Now, you may think it's a catastrophe. You may think it's the end of the world. The old saying, calm seas do not a sailor make. You know, right? I mean, if I didn't have these tumultuous relationships where I felt completely eviscerated and stabbed and gutted by the girls that I thought I was in love with. If that didn't happen to me, where would I be today? I wouldn't have all of those unbelievable stories, the unmet expectations, getting torpedoed, getting gutted. How could she? You know, I can remember not sleeping for a week straight because I was so distraught over a girlfriend that I caught cheating on me. It's a hoot. When you think back, it's a fucking hoot. Because in the scope of your entire eternity, right? That's not even a speck. A speck on that timeline is your entire life in this skin. And that one episode is just a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a speck. And as you go down the timeline of your eternal existence, you become a warrior, you become a soldier. Can you imagine amassing, the world is in a war right now, right? We're in an informational World War III, but Russia has invaded Ukraine. What would anybody think of a bunch of soldiers that they pulled, I don't know, out of the Fluff and Stuff Brigade, and they sent them to the front lines without any of the equipment that a real soldier should have. They just sent them out there in their underwear, butt naked, no guns, no training, no experience, no nothing. It's going to be a shoot 'em up, gang. Right? They're not going to win the war. They're not going to perform well. But everything that happens to you in your life is meant to make you the ultimate warrior, the ultimate spiritual warrior. And that's where we leave the third dimensional shit out. There goes our computer again. So think about that, people. The regret that we may feel, the angst that we may feel from people who are ungrateful, or moments or happenstances where we feel so hurt, we've actually played our part. There's something in a like a car accident called contributory negligence, where if you get into a car accident, ultimately the judge is going to assign negligence on both sides. 85% this guy, 15% that guy. It's called contributory negligence. We live a life of contributory negligence, so don't be so surprised when you get torpedoed. Don't be so surprised when somebody that you were counting on to be grateful for your actions somehow or another appears to be not grateful. They're an ingrate. Get over yourself. Don't worry about getting over them. Get over yourself and become the warrior that you were meant to be.
I love that. Great way to finish, John. Great episode. Thank you for letting us talk about that. That was a passionate subject. People, I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what we're doing, please follow us, subscribe.
Subscribe.
Tell your friends.
You don't want me to beg, do you?
Not this episode, not yet, but soon.
All right.
Till next time. Peace.
See you.